Councilmember Dorns, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, Council is grateful to have Pastor Amy Aspie, the lead pastor at Short North Church, to pray with us. Pastor, welcome back to Council. So happy to have you.
Let us pray. God of us all, and not just some, on this Indigenous Peoples Day, we give thanks for the diversity of creation and your sacred image in every face and in every place. We also remember what happens when we use our power to conquer and capitalize on those who are different from us. As we lead this night, may we be aware of voices that are not represented and honest about who benefits from decisions. May the discussion build bridges of understanding rather than create barriers. May the most vulnerable be lifted up by the outcomes of our work rather than burdened by it. Guide us in ways of compassion and justice and peace. And when this seems impossible, give us the fortitude to keep going. In the name of all that is holy, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barossa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barossa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed in the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Well, now I'll go around the dais to members for resolutions or announcements, starting with Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, President Harden. Just one announcement this evening, just another reminder of our second public hearing regarding the wage threshold discussion. So we are excited to host this second hearing. It will be here at City Hall and Council Chambers on October 18th at 6 p.m. If you're interested in submitting written or verbal testimony, please contact my aide, J.P. Dorval, at JB as in boy, Dorval at columbus.gov. We are finalizing the agenda and should have that out to the public this week ahead of next week's meeting, and looking forward to the discussion. Thank you so much. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Barossa de Padilla.
Thank you, Council President. I have one resolution this evening and then one announcement. So I'll start with my resolution. I'd like to introduce Resolution 0204X 2022 to celebrate October 11th, 2022 as the International Day of the Girl in the city of Columbus, and to recognize the partnership between the Commission on Black Girls and Aaron Pink Girl Empowerment to improve the quality of life of Black girls. In 2018, Columbus City Council adopted a resolution to create the Commission on Black Girls with a focus on changing the life trajectory of Black women by creating opportunities for Black girls. The Commission on Black Girls works in collaboration with the Aaron Pink Girl Empowerment Program, whose mission is to empower youth to live purposeful lives and to thrive. If y'all want to come start making your way this way while I continue to read this. The Commission on Black Girls and Aaron Pink Girl Empowerment will come together for a week-long celebration of International Day of the Girl leading up to the 10th annual Give That Girl the Mic, Columbus's all-girl talent showcase at the Lincoln Theater this Saturday, October 15th, 2022. I hope that everyone can come out and celebrate these two incredible groups. I am so excited to now introduce Erin Hathaway, Executive Director of Aaron Pink, to speak on this resolution. She has brought a very important contingent with her of young, powerful women in our community. So, Erin, I will turn over the podium to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember President Harden, members of council, and Chair Councilmember I got you.
I know, you got it. Go ahead. You
Barroso
started
de
off.
Padilla.
That's
Okay. I am Erin Hathaway, Executive Director of ICE Mentors, and I spearhead Aaron Pink Girl Empowerment, whose mission is to empower youth to live purposeful lives fueled by personal skills, positive character, self-improvement, personal leadership skills, and career readiness. With me today are a few of our young women who are program coordinators, who also serve as role models, our program manager, and a fraction of our high school EPIC ambassadors. Thank you for this resolution to recognize our partnership with the Commission on Black Girls under the Department of Neighborhoods. We are working together to improve the quality of life of Black girls, and also being here to acknowledge October 11th as International Day of the Girl. The concept of International Day of the Girl first began as a part of the World Conference for Women in Beijing, China, held in '95. This collective movement highlights the need for a more equitable and prosperous future, which spearheads our youth into becoming empowered girls today and groundbreaking leaders of tomorrow. Our organization has been dedicated to the empowerment of girls and teens since 2012, with a targeted emphasis on creating pathways of advancement for girls and young women of color to thrive. The Aaron Pink Girl Empowerment Programs are in alignment with the recommendations from the Commission on Black Girls report, with providing a structure for Black girls to be centered, valued, and unapologetically Black girls. Because of our partnership with the Commission on Black Girls that we're really thankful for, in 2020, we were able to increase the amount of programs offered and the number of girls served from 40 girls to 120 girls a year. 120 girls in 2021 each year and 2022 have successfully completed our middle school leadership program and our high school career ready program. 90% of our students receive leadership opportunities in our organization, their schools, and other community programs. Upon completing our programs, girls are developed into leaders with confidence and gain public speaking skills, personal branding, prepared for the workforce, receive professional headshots, work readiness training skills, networking skills, and introduced to a network of professional community leaders. As our student, as you can see, this is a part of their leadership program, being with you all. As our students continue to matriculate through our programs and graduate into high school, we retain our college students and recent grads to build and support our network of young women, offering employment opportunities and mentorship for young adults. As you can see, we center Black girls and young women in our work, and our success and our impact is a reflection of the Commission on Black Girls, and that was a needed initiative in our city. I want to take a few seconds to introduce you to Nia, one of our high school EPIC ambassadors.
President Harden and council members, it's lovely to meet you all. My name is Nia. I'm a sophomore and an EPIC ambassador at Aaron Pink and EPIC, which is everyone here. I have been in the Aaron Pink program for probably about 3 or 4 years now, and they've really helped me to be more confident and speak and, well, how do I put this in a way that makes more sense? They've helped me be more confident and learn how to communicate well to other people. I've learned how to speak boldly and share my thoughts regardless on what they are. So I really appreciate this program for aiding me in doing this.
Thank you, Nia. So, with that being said, also, this is a really monumental year for us. We are celebrating also 10 years of service to the Central Ohio community, and this is also a very huge milestone for my family, because my husband and I have done this for 10 years at a young age. We were 22 and 26 when we got married, and we started this organization together, and as of effective Friday, I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing, he was hoping to be here, he will be full-time now with the organization. So this year is really monumental for us, and we're really proud of this work, and we're proud to be a partner with the City Council. So the Commission on Black Girls and Aaron Pink, we've come together for a week-long celebration of International Day of the Girl, leading up to our 10th annual event, Give That Girl the Mic, Columbus's All-Girl Talent Showcase. This production is held at the historic Lincoln Theater. It showcases 150-plus girls around the community who perform. They show a variety of talents. It's 150, considering that there's some really large groups and organizations that come. So consider this your official invitation to join us this Saturday, October 15th at 6:30. And thank you again for this opportunity to share.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. First, I want to open it up to my colleagues if you want to say anything.
Well, you know, I've always been an incredible supporter of the organization and the young women that you have nurtured for now 10 years, which is just absolutely amazing. Thank you for dedicating your life to this work. It is refreshing to see beautiful young women in City Hall that are engaged, that are excited to be here. And young lady, you did wonderful. You've got public speaking in your future. And I know any lady could get up here and say and do the same thing. And it's because of your commitment to our community. So thank you for everything that you continue to do on behalf of our young girls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other colleagues? I just also want to say, I know that this, the Commission on Black Girls was something that was near and dear to my predecessor's heart, Councilmember Priscilla Tyson, and just the other day, the city named a building after her, and one of the things she said was that our kids need to see us to be us, that she was once a young Black girl, and she grew up to be this powerful Black leader in our community, and that she really wanted to be a role model to others. And I know as a young woman, she was a role model to me. She was one of my mentors in City Year, and so you can see who you want to be, and you can be that and strive for that. And so, Nia, I congratulate you. You already had that in you. This was just a platform for you to display your greatness, and that is true of every young woman who was here. I say that as a mother of daughters, as a sister who comes from a long line of powerful, strong women. Thank you for who you pour into, and the fact that you have dedicated, as Councilmember Favor said, your life to this work. It is incredibly important because this literally is our future. And when you invest in women and girls, you invest in community. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Congratulations to all of you strong, powerful leaders. With that, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Congratulations. So I know that took a little bit of time. We never give our young people enough time. So my next announcement actually goes along with this announcement. I would like to share that here in council chambers, the powerful Women's Caucus, Councilmember Favor, myself, and President Pro Tem Liz Brown are happy to host the first Columbus Girls Summit, Igniting Your Political Power. The event will take place on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 to 12, right here in council chambers. It is our hope to provide girls ages 12 to 18 the resources and an opportunity to share their ideas for policy and how we can create change here in Columbus. So we'll have a panel discussion amongst local women leaders, interactive activities for attendees to learn more about their political power and opportunities for girls to discuss issues facing them. So y'all better watch out, because I expect great things to come from the synergy that we will create and the power we create in this room. So with that, that is all for me. President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I also want to shout out Ms. Charlene, who was here with Aaron Pink and was in the auditor's office for 26 years and just retired this March, she said, earlier this year. So thank you so much for your service, and thank you, Councilmember. President Pro Tem. Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Arden. Just two brief announcements. Just a reminder that applications for the Columbus Youth Council program are available. All Columbus City School juniors and seniors are encouraged to apply. For more information, you know what, ladies? That could be for you too. Miss Aaron Pink, ladies. Columbus Youth Council, juniors, seniors, application, apply, yes. Never miss an opportunity. Secondly, I would also like to share and invite you all to an upcoming community conversation on the impacts of flavored tobacco. The event, hosted by my office as chair of City Council's Health Committee and Columbus Public Health, will take place on October 25th at 4:30 p.m. at the Reeb Avenue Center. For more information, please reach out to my office. You can reach out to Anissa Liban at aaliban@columbus.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have one resolution and a couple of announcements this evening. So before we begin, I'd like to invite Assistant Chief Dave Ball Ball up and all of the Box 15 team, if they'd like to the podium as I introduce Ordinance 201X 2022 to recognize and celebrate Box 15 on their 75th year of serving the Columbus Division of Fire, Central Ohio Fire Departments, and communities in the city of Columbus. On early Sunday morning, March 30th, 1947, with the temperature in the upper 20s with 25 to 30 mile per hour winds and heavy snowfall, Columbus firefighters were on the scene of a 3-alarm blaze at the Fruhauf, I probably messed that name up, trailer facility on Fletcher Street. Less than 24 hours later, they fought a 4-alarm fire at the Ohio Furniture Company on East Main. Max Haberman, a longtime fire buff, was at both incidences. Following the second major fire, Max approached Fire Chief Clarence Ogburn with the idea that the firefighters could really use some relief from the elements. He mentioned that there were other groups that helped the firefighters, the closest of which was Box 21 in Dayton. On Tuesday, June 24th, Max and 14 other people met at a Columbus Fire Station number 4, then located at Russell and Hamlet Streets for the first time, and decided to form up as a group. The initial intent was to support Columbus Fire and Columbus Police in every way possible. They named it Box 15. Box referring to the then common fire alarm boxes located on nearly every street corner of the city, and 15 referring to the number of people in the initial group. In 1950, Box 15 expanded its scope and offered to respond to major incidences throughout Franklin County. Today, Box 15 is a nonprofit 501c3 group with 24 active volunteers that respond to emergency incidents, training events, or civic events to support firefighters, police officers, or other first responders 24/7, 365 days a year. Box 15 provides tools such as tents, misting fans, heaters, and climate-controlled vehicles to shelter firefighters and rehab from the elements. Box 15 concentrates its efforts on hydration, nutrition, core temperature stabilization by providing water, Gatorade, cold towels, coffee, and nutrients to firefighters. 8 years ago, Box 15 started providing skin wipes and shower equipment for firefighters to use as a gross decon to help remove carcinogens from skin and gear. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that the Council does hereby recognize and celebrate the 75 years that Box 15 has served Columbus firefighters following the simple mission statement. Box 15 is dedicated to providing canteen and firefighter rehab services and to support, as best we can in every practical way, the work of our first line of defense against the ravages of fire, the men and women of the fire services. Tonight, we have Assistant Chief Dave Baugh. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Assistant Chief Baugh, the floor is yours.
Council President Harden, Councilmember Remy, and other members of City Council, thank you for recognizing Box 15. Today with me is President Joe O'Brien and some members of his staff, along with members from Station 1 and 2 that serve the downtown area that showed up today to show their support as well. Max Haverman, as you stated, started Box 15 75 years ago to serve those who are serving the city. On behalf of every Columbus firefighter, we are grateful for Box 15 and the service that they provide. Box 15 is staffed with all volunteers that respond at a moment's notice to provide hot drinks on a cold day, cold drinks on a hot day, and most recently provide showers and wipes to clean ourselves off after a fire to help prevent cancer. They've also helped to foster my love for black coffee because sometimes creamer is not available when you're out in the middle of the night. Whether it be a multiple alarm fire, searing 90-degree heat, 10 degrees with ice everywhere, the middle of the day or the dark of night, Box 15 is there to support CFD members. If you have a chance to meet a Box 15 member, please thank them for their service and serving those who serve the city. Thank you.
Well, we certainly appreciate your service and thank you for all that you've done over the past 75 years. I know many of you were not around at that time, in fact, all of you, but we're so thankful that you continue to provide this service to our men and women of service, so appreciate it. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none.
I don't
Oh, go
thank
ahead,
you.
Shane. Council President.
No, you're fine. Just as a person who has 3 close family members in this division, it is nice to know that somebody's taking care of the folks that take care of us. And I didn't know the history, so thank you, Remy, for giving us the background of Box 15. I think it's important that our residents know this important history, and that there's an organization that for 75 years has been providing that critical service in the middle of the night when we get to sleep, and when our men and women are out fighting, that there's somebody there to support them. I'm very grateful, and I just thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, President Harden.
Especially coming off of yesterday's fire memorial service, recognizing the 41 now, right? 40 that we've lost previously. It's very important to recognize, and then I'll have an announcement about National Fire Prevention Week. So we appreciate it. If there are no further questions or comments, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you.
And as I just mentioned, the this week is October 9th through the 15th is National Fire Prevention Week. It is the National Fire Prevention Week is celebrating their 100th anniversary of Fire Prevention Week with this year's theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, reminding all of us to take the steps needed to keep our family and pets safe from home fires. Here, did you want to say anything more? I'm sorry, I didn't have that. Should have kept you up here. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So thank you for recognizing Fire Prevention Week. Fire Prevention Week is a time to reflect on and focus on fire safety education. This year's theme is Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape. The message is intended to remind citizens that they should always know 2 ways out of their home in case of a fire. Practice this evacuation plan with your family. In addition, please check your smoke detectors. They're a passive device that is like having a firefighter waiting in your home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There should be a working smoke detector on each floor of your home. If you do not have a smoke detector, then please call the smoke detector hotline and we can install one for you. 614-724-0935. Last, close your door when you sleep. Smoke can fill a home very quickly. Simply closing your door to your bedroom slows the smoke spread and will give you time to evacuate. Every year, citizens die from fire and smoke, including here in Columbus. Basic fire safety may save your life. Have a working smoke detector, close your bedroom door, and when you sleep, and practice your evacuation drill with your family. We're also proud to announce that after a 2-year COVID hiatus, we're having an open house at the fire stations this Saturday on the 15th. So Saturday, October 15th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., everyone is welcome to stop by Columbus Fire Station for an opportunity to meet with firefighters, tour a truck, and help show your kids basic fire safety in their home. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you again, Assistant Chief Ball. Appreciate it. Finally, I would like to invite our Columbus residents to a Public Safety Committee hearing this Wednesday, October 12th at 5:30 in Council Chambers. We will hear from numerous organizations that participated in Council's 2022 Reimagining Safety Summer Grants on the success and highlights of their programs. I appreciate Council President Harden's partnership in this effort, and we look forward to learning about the wonderful programs that were covered over the summer for our youth. If you'd like to sign up to give public testimony this Wednesday, please reach out to my legislative assistant, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov. That's ljfrank@columbus.gov. That's all I have this evening. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Are there any comments by our other elected officials, City Attorney's Office, City Auditor, Treasurer's Office? Seeing none, are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution in the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of titles of third-day legislation by the city clerk? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers on third-day legislation for tonight's agenda?
Economic Development Committee, ordinances 2667, 2668-2022. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinance 2644-2022. Finance Committee, ordinances 2465 and 2661-2022. Public Utilities Committee, Resolution 181X-2022. Ordinances 2583, 2589, 2607-2022. Building and Zoning Policy Committee, ordinance 2647-2022. Housing Committee, ordinances 2722, 2724, 2739-2022. Rules and Reference Committee, ordinance 1652-2022. Zoning Committee, ordinances 847 and 2708-2022, and variances 2531 and 2723-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. There are no speakers on the first reading portion. The following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Resolution of Expression 198X, 203X, and 189X-2022. Economic Development Committee, Resolution 184X-2022. Ordinances 2688 and 2719-2022. Small and Minority Business Committee, Ordinance 2620-2022. Technology Committee, Ordinances 2503 and 2617-2022. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Ordinances 2413, 2537, 2584, 2637, 2645, 2650-2022. Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee, Ordinance 2749-2022. Finance Committee, Ordinances 2547, 2614, 2663-2022. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinance 2510-2022. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 2363, 2409, 2415, 2435, 2436, 2456, 2501, 2538, 2574, 2588, 2594, 2677-2022. Building and Zoning Policy Committee, Ordinance 2587-2022. Housing Committee, Ordinance 2608-2022. Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinances 2521, 2604, 2611, and 2728-2022. Public Safety Committee, Ordinances 2554, 2665-2022. Administration Committee, Ordinances 2710, 2711, 2712-2022. And one appointment, A0199-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on the consent portion of the agenda. Mr. Nate Wilkins is here to speak in support of Ordinance 2608 on the Housing Committee. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
Mr. Lieutenant George Wilkins, 1612 Arlington Avenue. To my knowledge, I believe his chamber is 997. I think it's on the far east end of Columbus. I'm not for sure. But again, it seems like we are tearing down property. And again, I believe this home was built in 1924, 3 bedrooms and 1 bath. I bought this from the Franklin County Auditor's website this afternoon, coming in here to City Council. In 2004, 2004, the property looked like this. And again, it looks like the city wants to tear down these properties. But again, I would like to know why that property was torn down, because on the Franklin County Auditor's website, it looked like it was in cut, clean, crisp condition. We also talk about affordable housing. When properties sit like this unidolized and sit into the land bank, we don't want property being torn down. We want some acquisition to be taking place immediately. Today, that property sits through the city of Columbus through a land bank. And it sits like this. And we just want to understand why is this continue going on. When we in struggling with affordable housing, homeless people, and population out here. And again, if we want to do something, let's look at some idolized changes now. Not just having property sit all around town, they're sitting unidolized and unoccupied. What really frustrates me today now, we have an empty lot, and all we want to see is some affordable housing that it used to sit back there in 1924 was built at that time. Again, we want something to be done now with the city of Columbus. We don't want vacant land to sit and not ready to be developed as quickly. This city is constantly growing. This city is a great opportunity that we need more affordable houses than anything in Columbus, Ohio, all through the state of Ohio. Thank you for the time. But again, I would like to know why was that property torn down? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you, President Harden. Traditionally, when we have to tear down a property, it is due to the severe structural damage that does not allow it to be rehabbed and sold. We are selling the lot for new single-family home construction, so there will be a new home on the lot.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Mr. Wilkins, for your advocacy. I think your point is still taken around the need for more housing and certainly more affordable housing in our city as well. But thank you for asking the question. Are there any other questions or comments, either for Mr. Wilkins or for the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I now have a motion of approval for these items designated as consent? Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes, with the exception of Resolution 0184X-2022 and Ordinance 2650-2022, from which I'm abstaining.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the exception of 0184X, on which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes, with the exception of ordinance 0184X-2022, from which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
President Harden?
Yes. Ordinance passed with the noted exceptions. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilmember Bangston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in the Economic Development Committee for a second reading, we have Ordinance 2562-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into contract with Carasoft Technology Corporation for software licenses, maintenance, and application customization to waive the competitive bidding process provisions of the Columbus City Code and to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $143,597.84 from the Neighborhood Economic Development Fund. This ordinance authorizes the Division of Planning to maintain their Excella software licensing subscription. Excella software provides support to the Planning Division as they work with 8 historic districts and design review commissions, allowing for synchronized processes with the Building and Zoning Department. Competitive bidding is being asked to be waived because this technology already integrates with Excella, which is a program in other departments. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, in the Economic Development Committee for second reading, we have Ordinance 2612-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a grant agreement in an amount up to $1,400,000 with the Ohio Historical Society, Inc., doing business as Ohio History Connection, to provide a capital grant supporting construction on exterior and interior preservation and renovation, as well as site work and landscaping for Poindexter Village, to authorize an expenditure of $1,400,000 from the Northland and Other Acquisitions Fund. This legislation provides an additional $1.4 million to the Ohio History Connection for the continued interior and exterior renovation of the Poindexter Village buildings that will be transformed into a place for exhibit and programming that highlight the history of the neighborhood and its residents. $1.1 million was given in 2017, making this total investment of the city $2.5 million. Many of you may remember this. This is around our work of preserving the legacy and history around the Poindexter Village apartment complex, one of the first public housing sites in America. My family is actually a product of Poindexter Village, so it is great to see this history preserved, and something that I know that the community has been fighting for years. So we're so excited to move this forward and excited about the end product and how we tell the story of one of Columbus's greatest neighborhoods. If there are any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes?
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans? Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you, Council President. May I move to the Technology Committee?
Please.
Tonight in Technology, for second reading, we have Ordinance 2571-2022 to appropriate $1,983,513.89 within the Special Income Tax Fund to authorize the Director of Finance and Management on behalf of the Department of Technology to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreement for Microsoft Enterprise software licensing, to authorize the expenditure of $1,983,513.89 from the Special Income Tax Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $3,714.20 from the Information Services Operating Fund. This ordinance authorizes the Director of the Department of Technology to obtain the latest versions of Microsoft software under a single agreement for the entire city. About 7,500 employees use Microsoft Office software, and this ordinance authorizes just over $1,987,000 for the purchase of updated software for Microsoft Enterprise. About $1.8 million of the expenditure is for the annual renewal of licenses, and about $180,000 is for the 2022 reconciliation for those additional licenses that were needed in this year. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And lastly, in the Technology Committee for second reading, we have Ordinance 2605-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Technology to enter into a professional services agreement with OST Inc. for short-term professional support services via the State of Ohio's Managed Service Provider Contract, 0A1300, to waive relevant sections of Chapter 329 of Columbus City Code pertaining to competitive bidding, to authorize the expenditure of $1,089,704 from the Information Services Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a contract with OST for professional services for the Department of Technology. The contract supports operational needs for email authentication services, GIS, database, and more. This short-term support will allow the department to continue meeting the needs of the City of Columbus employees. As you know, ongoing with the pandemic, we are dealing with a shortage of employees, and our technology department is not immune from that. And so we are short-staffed there, and so this short-term contract will allow us to make sure that we have uninterrupted service for our City of Columbus employees. The ordinance also authorizes the waiver of competitive bidding under Chapter 329 of the Columbus City Code due to immediate need of these services and to make sure there's not an interruption in service. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee coming before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I was remiss in saying this earlier, but I just wanted to thank the Department of Public Service because I participated in their rodeo, which this is actually an opportunity for our road warriors to get ready for the winter, and had the opportunity to drive a snowplow. Don't worry, they're not going to actually let me out in the streets with these, but I did experience just the level of intentionality and technicality that it takes to drive, and I drove a small plow, so there's some exciting things happening and changes that soon we'll be able to announce to folks, so I just wanted to make sure I did that shout out because I forgot earlier today. So ordinance 2615, 2022, to amend the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Kokosing Construction Company Incorporated for the bridge rehabilitation Parsons Avenue retaining walls project to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,297,514.50 from the Street and Highways Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. So this ordinance authorizes for the bridge rehabilitation Parsons Avenue retaining walls along Parsons Avenue between Hosack and Deering Avenue. Portions of the existing retaining walls will be removed and the sidewalk will be reconstructed along the west side of Parsons Avenue. Minor roadway improvements and Llewellyn Avenue are also included in the project. This is exciting. This is going to start as soon as October 21st. This is in the far south area of the city and a part of the bridge that really needs this work. So do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And now if we could go back to page 4, under first reading, ordinance 2644, 2022, to amend the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within the Development Taxable Bonds Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to modify a construction guaranteed maximum reimbursement agreement with Campus Partners for Community Urban Redevelopment Incorporated relative to the arterial street rehabilitation 15th and High Street Phase 2 project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,396,201 from the Development Taxable Bonds Fund. So this ordinance will authorize the Director of Public Service to modify a construction agreement with Campus Partners for Community Urban Redevelopment. This project is along North High Street between East 16th and East 17th and certain surrounding side streets. So this is a complete road improvement project that will include traffic, lighting, sidewalk, proposed drainage, and stormwater improvements. So I would like to move to waive second reading by voice.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bangston,
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes. Abstain, sorry.
Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Favor, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
And now I'd like to move for passage by voice.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bangston,
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Abstain.
Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Favor, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That's all for me this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Finance Committee chaired by President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, President Harden. Tonight in Finance, we have Ordinance 2772-2022 to amend Ordinance 2216-2022 by modifying the funding source for the related contracts and to declare an emergency. This ordinance amends previously approved Ordinance 2216 by replacing general fund dollars with state and local fiscal recovery fund proceeds. No additional funding is required to administer this change. Emergency action is requested to amend the original ordinance as soon as possible so that related contracts and programs can be administered without further delay. Any questions from colleagues? I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next is Ordinance 2781-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with Triumph Communications for professional services related to early voting, education, information, and associated public service announcements for the 2022 general election, to authorize an appropriation, transfer, and expenditure within the general fund, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of City Code, and to declare an emergency. Columbus is a home rule municipality which has previously enacted city code that foresees the need to use public funds to promote, enforce, and protect the fundamental right to vote. Every resident in every neighborhood deserves and is in fact entitled to comprehensive, accessible information on how, where, and when to exercise their right to vote. To that end, the City of Columbus wishes to enter into this contract as a means to provide comprehensive, accessible, equitable, and needed voter education in an expeditious manner in order that all Columbus voters, as well as voters in other areas of the county, can continue to receive nonpartisan information about their fundamental voting rights. This ordinance also requests a waiver of the competitive bidding requirements of Columbus City Code, Chapter 329, due to the limited time remaining until the November 8th, 2022 general election and the time necessary to establish a contract and provide the needed voter information services prior to the election. Emergency action is requested for those reasons outlined. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, do we have a speaker on this?
We do
I
not
see
have a
Mark, okay.
speaker.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston? Yes. Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
May I move to Recreation and Parks
Please.
Committee? Thank you. Ordinance 2525-2022 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a design and construction agreement with the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation for the administration of the Bicentennial Park Scioto Mile Fountain Improvements Project, to waive competitive bidding provisions of City Code Chapter 329, to authorize the transfer of $7,500,000 within the Rec and Parks Voted Bond Fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2022 capital improvements budget, and to authorize the expenditure of $7,500,000 from the Rec and Parks Voted Bond Fund. This project will be a 50-50 partnership, with the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, which will leverage the Scioto Mile endowment created by CDDC when the Scioto Mile was first constructed to provide the remaining $7,500,000 needed after the city's initial contribution. This is reflective of the initial Scioto Mile partnership, where the public sector and private sector split the costs for design and construction equally. Design is ongoing, and construction is expected to begin in the spring of 2023. The plan is currently to reopen the fountain for Memorial Day 2024. CDDC is partnering with world-class design professionals at AECOM and Wet Design to create an incredible fountain-centered experience for the whole community. The design will continue to feature 3 iconic steel halos and the signature blooms feature to create a variety of experiences, including enhancements to the water features, added visual and interactive appeal, including a system that will engage and interact with visitors, an area specifically programmed for the fountain's youngest visitors, increased seating, shaded areas, and space for food trucks and carts, sculptural light elements that will also continue into the cold weather season to make the fountain a year-round destination. The city recognizes the benefit that the Bicentennial Park Scioto Mile Fountain Improvements Project will have on residents by continuing to provide an important downtown Scioto Riverfront attraction available free of admission to families across our community. Therefore, a waiver of the competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Code is being requested. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden?
Passed.
Thank you, President Harden. That's all I have in my committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First, we have Ordinance 2400-2022 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a new water and sanitary sewer service agreement with the City of Dublin, Ohio, and declare an emergency. An existing economic development agreement between the City of Columbus and Dublin is being amended to include additional acres within Franklin County. As a result of this amendment, new water and sanitary sewer service agreements with the City of Dublin, Ohio must be established to include the additional surface area and establish conditions and requirements for the water and sanitary sewer service in that additional area. Emergency action is requested in order to align the timing and execution of the economic development agreement with the water and sanitary sewer agreement as well. This legislation involves no direct cost to the ratepayers of Columbus. However, increased revenue will be realized in the future as new water and sanitary sewer services are provided by the City of Columbus, Department of Public Utilities, and to the additional acres within Franklin County. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden?
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2403-2022 to authorize the director of the Department of Finance and Management to establish contracts with the City Electric Co. and Loeb Electric Company for the purchase of luminaries, the division of power, and to authorize the expenditure of $2,232,609.25 from the Division of Power Operating Fund. The luminaries or street light fixtures and related components will be used to maintain existing streetlights as well as for new construction for future developments within the city of Columbus. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2455-2022 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter a planned renewal of the specialty maintenance craft services with Ryder Company, Inc. for the Department of Public Utilities and to authorize expenditure of $950,000 from the Sewer Operating Sanitary Fund and $250,000 from the Power Operating Fund. This is the third contract renewal and will continue to provide specialty maintenance services for Department of Public Utilities facilities. Anticipated work includes at the Southerly Wastewater Treatment Plant and Sewer Maintenance Operations Center and General Wastewater Treatment Plant and Division of Power Repairs. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2497-2022 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fee simple and lesser real estate necessary to timely complete the Blueprint Eureka Fremont Hilltop project, to authorize expenditure of $1,232 from the existing ACDI 001667-10. The city is performing Blueprint Eureka Fremont Hilltop project, and we must acquire certain fee simple title and lesser real estate located in the vicinity of Eureka Avenue and Fremont Street in order to complete the public project. The city passed ordinance number 0967-2021, authorizing the city attorney to acquire the real estate, and adopted resolution 0079X-2022, establishing the city's intent to appropriate the real estate. The city attorney, pursuant to Columbus City Code 909.03, served notice to all the owners of the real estate of the public project's public purpose and necessity, and adopted resolution number 00979X-2022. However, the city attorney was unable to either locate some of the real estate owners or agree with some of the real estate owners in good faith regarding the amount of just compensation for those projects. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2498-2022 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fee simple and lesser real estate necessary to time to complete the Blueprint Miller-Kelton Bedford project, to authorize expenditure of $12,775 from the existing ACDI 00166-10. This ordinance is similar to the previous legislation just passed by council, but affects the Blueprint Miller-Kelton Bedford project. Once again, the city attorney, pursuant to Columbus City Code, section 909.03, served notice to all the owners of real estate of the public project, its purpose and necessity, and adoption of resolution 0062X-2022. However, again, the city attorney was unable to either locate some of the real estate owners or agree with some of the real estate owners in good faith regarding the amount of just compensation. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2517-2022 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter in a contract with Azteca Systems LLC to provide the software for the CityWorks AMS system for the Department of Public Utilities, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the City Code, and to authorize the expenditure of $23,241 from the Electricity Operating Fund, $147,828 from that Water Operating Fund, $165,735 from the Sewer System Operating Fund, and $44,196 from the Stormwater Operating Fund. CityWorks AMS will be a department-wide asset management solution and will replace the previous system, Oracle WAM. The software contract is an annual enterprise licensing agreement that includes cloud hosting services. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, we have ordinance 2694-2022 to authorize the finance and management director into a contract for the option to purchase UV reactor parts and maintenance services from Zim Water Solutions USA, Inc., to authorize the expenditure of $1 to waive the provisions of competitive bidding and declare an emergency. The Division of Water is the sole user for UV reactor parts and maintenance services used to maintain ultraviolet disinfectant equipment at Hap Cremine and the Dublin Road water treatment plants. This legislation is considered an emergency ordinance because these replacement parts are for new equipment that is not covered by any current contracts. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have for my committees at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee, actually the final committee coming for council is the Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tonight in Criminal Justice and Judiciary, we have Ordinance 2606-2022 to authorize and direct the city attorney to settle the lawsuit known as Rachel A. Davenier versus City of Columbus, pending in the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas, to authorize the transfer and the expenditure of the sum of $25,000.00 from the Health Special Revenue Fund in settlement of this lawsuit and to declare an emergency. This ordinance is submitted to settle the lawsuit known as Rachel A. Davenier versus City of Columbus. The plaintiff's claim arises out of a motor vehicle crash between Ms. Davenier and a City of Columbus employee, Kenneth Caldwell, on September 13, 2019. Ms. Davenier alleges she suffered from injuries including whiplash and subcutaneous mass post-traumatic hematoma as a result. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'd move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing no further business coming for council. Just joking. The next committee coming for council is Rules and Reference. Is it you? Yeah. I chair Rules and Reference, but Councilmember Remy will bring forth that resolution. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President. We forgot to mention this today, but this is on the agenda. Appreciate it. I have one ordinance in Rules and Reference Committee this evening. Before I introduce the next ordinance, I would like to invite Antone White to the podium. Tonight's ordinance is Ordinance 2778, 2022, to enact Section 2317.52, harassment of election officials, and to declare an emergency. In recent years, the role of voting location workers has become increasingly challenging for a variety of reasons, including COVID-19 pandemic, changes in election law, and of significant concern, a dramatic increase in harassment of election officials. Reuters has reported on more than 900 threatening and hostile messages to election administrators and staff in 17 states. Similarly, the Commissioner of the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, Benjamin Hovland, commented that poll worker harassment is a real problem and it's taking a toll on the public servants who run our elections. In March of this year, the Brennan Center for Justice published results of a survey of almost 600 election officials, that showed the following. More than 75% said threats against election administrators and staff had increased in recent years. The percentage saying that they are very worried about political leaders interfering in future elections has nearly tripled since before 2020. More than 3/4 of local election officials say social media companies have not done enough to stop the spread of false election information. About 1 in 6 election officials reported in the poll that they have been threatened personally, and more than half of those instances were not reported to law enforcement. And nearly a third of the respondents said they feel their local government could do more to support them. The execution of free and fair elections is an obligation for elected officials, but that will become increasingly challenging if residents fear that they will face harassment for their service. The code provisions included in this ordinance seek to proactively enact protections for local poll workers by prohibiting the kinds of harassment that could serve as a deterrent to residents serving during elections. Emergency action is requested to immediately enact new Section 2317.52 in advance of this November's general election. I know that in August, I got a call because there was election poll workers that were harassed at Sinclair Baptist Church Salem Baptist Church on Sinclair Road. And There was some concern because of the response time of our department and the Division of Police, and of course made a couple of calls, and they got out there as soon as they could. But the threat was real, and that individual threatened to come back to harm those poll workers later in the day. We know that poll workers can be, that can be thankless work. And especially during recent years when political tension was, and in many cases still is, incredibly high. Doing all we can to protect poll workers is extremely important, regardless of your political affiliation or non-affiliation. It is the responsibility of every resident to be mindful of our poll workers and to make sure that we show them the respect they deserve for their service to our community. So without further ado, I would like to turn the floor over to Antone White, our Director of the Franklin County Board of Elections, and thank you for joining us this evening to share some important words on this legislation.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Remy, President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, members of council. Councilmember Remy, I want to thank you for your leadership on this and sponsoring this important piece of legislation for our poll workers here in the city of Columbus. As you just said, democracy does work best when we have free and fair elections. And the cornerstone sustaining that democracy is to make sure that we recruit, train, and place election day poll workers here in Franklin County. So I want to just personally take a moment to thank the thousands of residents who will step up here in Franklin County and answer that call to serve on Election Day this coming November 8th, who will serve as poll workers in our county. Because without you, we would not be able to administer an election here in the county, and we thank you for your service. Protecting poll workers and administering fair, impartial, and accurate elections are our top priority. I want to just take a moment tonight just to provide some perspective on the impact of this legislation and what that means for the poll workers who will serve here in the city of Columbus. So for the November 8th, 2022 general election, here countywide, we plan to operate 309 polling locations. That's throughout the county. And our goal, and we are currently on track to recruit, train, and place 5,000 poll workers. And that's an unprecedented number. So what that means for the city of Columbus, we'll operate 199 polling locations here in the city. We will place, if we meet our goal of 5,000 poll workers, we will place some 3,363 poll workers here in the city of Columbus. And that represents about 67% of our total election day workforce. So as you can see, this legislation is important. It protects the vast majority of our poll workers who will serve our residents here in Franklin County. And so, again, we appreciate your leadership on this, Councilmember Remy. We appreciate council members, all what you're doing to protect our poll workers, not only in the city of Columbus, but in Franklin County. We appreciate you taking this proactive safety step. I appreciate you bringing awareness to this issue and really giving our local law enforcement another tool to help protect our poll workers. And most of all, thank you for defending democracy. And I'm really happy to answer any questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments this evening? Council President?
Thank you. Director, you insinuated you're on your way towards 5,000 or the 3,300 that you need for Columbus. How's that going in terms of recruiting poll workers for this general cycle? And is there something that you can share tonight about how, if one is interested in becoming a poll worker, that they can get that information out?
Sure. Thank you. I always like to get a shameless plug in anywhere I go. So any resident of Franklin County that's interested in serving as a poll worker can call our office at 614-525-5393. I'll repeat that, 614-525-5393. Or you can also visit our website at vote.franklincountyohio.gov. Poll worker recruitment has been going very well, actually, but we know that we never stop because circumstances happen. We've had a pandemic, that's impacted our abilities to recruit poll workers, and so we're excited about the opportunity to hopefully reach our 5,000 goal. And so we will continue to ask residents to step up and serve, both Democrats and Republicans. We conduct our elections in a bipartisan fashion, and so we need both Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated or independents to step up for this election.
Your selfless plug reminded me of a plug of my own is in high school we started Youth at the Booth. And so just a reminder that any young person, high school senior, can take a paid day off from school to work at our elections, and that's throughout the state of Ohio. So I would also encourage young people to use that and get involved and work the polls this year.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Councilmember.
I just wanted to add to the shameless plug because I finally before I ran, had the opportunity to serve as a poll worker, and I loved it. I loved the opportunity. I loved my crew that I worked with. I worked with a veteran. I worked with a single mom. It was literally like a cross-section of Columbus on a church in Broad Street, and we got to say hello to every voter that came in, people who were voting for the very first time, new Americans who were voting for the very first time, people who brought in their children. Like, it really was an amazing way to spend Election Day. I'm usually an Election Day voter, but I voted early, and it was the best. It was really just the best experience. And so I just want to put in a plug for folks that it's another way, especially, I think, after COVID, if you are an extrovert and a people person, this is even if you're not, it's still a great way to come out and serve your community and get to know your community, and, do your part in our democracy, so.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your service. I actually would like to touch base with you after this and connect with the very impressive young ladies from Aaron Pink and see Youth at the Booth, President Harden. So if any of those young ladies in the organization are 17, 18, and juniors and seniors in high school, we'd like to sign them up and have them serve as poll workers and get paid. So maybe we can make that. Okay, well, maybe we can make that connection.
And Director, could you go over early voting hours? And of course, tomorrow's last day to register to vote.
Yeah, tomorrow's our last day to register to vote. Our office at 1700 Morse Road will be open until 9 o'clock, accepting registrations at our office. But residents can also they can register online at the Ohio Secretary of State's website. If you're unable to get to our to our office. Our office was very busy today with people coming in to register, update their registration. That's very important. If you've moved recently, you want to make sure you come in and update your registration with your current address. That'll make sure that you can vote a regular ballot on Election Day. If you do not update your registration, you'll have an opportunity to vote. You'll vote a provisional ballot, but we like to see our voters vote a regular ballot. So make sure you update your registration or register to vote. Tomorrow is the last day to do so. And then early voting starts on Wednesday, October 12th at 8 a.m. And we're ready to go. We're at 1700 Morse Road.
And those hours are going to be?
8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The first 2 weeks, you can go to our website and get the hours, but basically the first 2 weeks are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then we expand to 7 p.m. on weeknights. The next to the final weekend of early vote, we're open on Saturday from 8 to 4. The final weekend before Election Day, we're open Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then November 6th, that last Sunday before the election, we're open from 1 to 5. And those are statewide hours, uniform all over the state.
Thank you, Director. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you.
Now, seeing no other business to come for council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. If it's all right, we'll go straight into non-agenda speakers. Mr. Esther Flores.
Turn it out. Turn it out.
Come on, everybody, don't stop, don't quit. Do it like this. Do it like this. Do it like this.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorns chairs the committee. All members serve one. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Before beginning tonight's zoning agenda, allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on rezonings and council variances. We only hear staff presentations for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if you have a public speaker signed up against an ordinance. We have 0 public speaker slips this evening, though we did receive written testimony against one application on our agenda. That written testimony has been provided to all offices. All speakers on council variants, including city staff, area commission, the applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of an area commission applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not have to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney, I will now swear in city staff. Please repeat after, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Tim Dietrich from the Department of Building and Zoning Services has been sworn in. First, we have rezoning 2082-2022 to rezone 19330 Hard Road, being 1.25 plus acres, located on the northeast side of Hard Road and Smoky Row Road, from C4 Commercial District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is United Dairy Farmers, Inc., care of Rebecca Mott, attorney. Proposed use is a fuel sales facility with convenience retail. City's Department recommendation is approval. Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Far Northwest Coalition's recommendation is approval. This legislation was tabled at the applicant's request back in July. So if there are no comments from my colleagues, I move first to take it from the table.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
Thank you. Next, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have 2572-2022 to rezone 2006 East 5th Avenue, being 1.72 plus acres, located in the northeast corner of East 5th Avenue and Brittenell Avenue, from R4 Residential District, C4 Commercial District to AR12 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Logan Gianna LLC, care of Joaquin Squintez, agent. Proposed use is a multi-use residential development. City's Department recommendation approval. Development Commission's recommendation is approval. North Central Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Next, we have ordinance 2636-2022 to rezone 400 Alton Darby Creek Road, being 42.22 plus acres, located on the east side of Alton Darby Creek Road, 1,400 plus feet north of West Broad Street, from R Rural District to LR12 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Redwood USA LLC, care of Jeff Brown, attorney. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. City's Department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission recommendation is approval. The Westland Area Commission recommendation is also approval. We did not have public speakers sign up to speak against this ordinance, but due to the fact we received written testimony against this application, we'll allow for a staff presentation before a vote. Mr. Dietrich?
Chair Dorns, President Harden, members of council. The site consists of part of one undeveloped parcel in the R Rural District. The requested LAR 12 Limited Apartment Residential District will permit a multi-unit residential development with a maximum of 225 units at 5.33 dwelling units per acre. The limitation text includes development standards addressing maximum number of units, sidewalks, traffic improvements, preservation of wetland areas, detention pond placement, fence arrangements, graphics commitments, and includes a commitment to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan and building elevations. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Big Darby Accord Watershed Master Plan, which recommends institutional land uses at this location. While the plan does not include language for deviating from an institutional land use recommendation, Planning Division staff notes the adjacent residential development pattern to the north and east and finds this lower density residential proposal to be supportable. Additionally, the site and building designs are consistent with conservation residential development principles, plan recommendations, Ohio EPA standards for this area, and the Hell Branch overlay requirements, and therefore City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for the department? Any of my colleagues have any questions for the applicant who has their representative that's here? Seeing none, as this project has received approvals from all the recommending bodies, including the Area Commission, at this point, I would feel it necessary to bring this forward. So first, I move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amended.
Next, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2641-2022 to rezone 4559 Knightsbridge Boulevard, being 5.21 plus acres located in the north side of West Henderson Road, 300 plus west of Knightsbridge Boulevard, from CPD Commercial Plan Development District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Continental Tennis LLC, care of Jason Hotsuck, agent. Proposed use is a recreational sporting facility. City's Department recommendations approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Far Northwest Civic Association's recommendation is approval as well. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance 2646-2022 to rezone 514 Taylor Avenue, being .88 plus acres located on the east side of Taylor Avenue, 115 plus feet south of Maryland Avenue, from R3 Residential District to AR2 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is NK Development Partners LLC, care of David Hodge, attorney. Proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. City's Department recommendation is approval. Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Near East Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Mr. Bangston? Yes. Ms. Barosa de Padilla? Yes. Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Abstain.
Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden.
Yes. Ordinance is passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2651-2022 to rezone 1138 Chambers Road, being 1.90 plus acres located on the north side of Chambers Road, 800 plus feet west of Kenny Road, from R Rural District to LM Limited Manufacturing District to AR3 Apartment Residential District. At the request of the applicant, I move to postpone this ordinance to our next council meeting on October 17th, 2022.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Postpone.
Thank you. Next, we move into the variances portion of the agenda. First, we have 2573-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3333.18 building lines of Columbus City Codes. The property located at 2006 East Fifth Avenue to permit a 8-unit building with reduced development standards in the AR12 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Logan Gianna LLC, care of Joaquin Squentes, agent. Proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. City's Department recommendation is approval. The North Central Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report and new evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have variance 2649-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3312.21 AD landscaping screening, 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3333.18 building lines, the Columbus City Codes, the property located at 514 Taylor Avenue to permit a reduced development standards and multi-unit residential development in the AR2 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is NK Development Partners LLC, care of David Hodge, attorney. Proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. City's Department recommendation is approval. The Near East Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston, Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Favor,
Abstain.
Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes. Passed. Or, yeah.
Accepted.
Accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston, Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Favor,
Abstain.
Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes. Adopt it.
And I now move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston, Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorans,
Yes.
Ms. Favor,
Abstain.
Mr. Remy? President Harden?
Yes, passed.
And finally, we have variance 2654-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3333.03 AR3 apartment residential district use, 3309.14 height districts, 3312.25 maneuvering, 3312.29 parking spaces, 3312.49 A1 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3333.15C base of computing area, 333.18 building lines, and 3333.24 rear yard. The Columbus City Codes of property located at 1138 Chambers Road to permit mixed-use development and produce development standards the AR3 apartment residential district. Again, at the request of the applicant, I move to postpone this ordinance to the council's next meeting on October 17th, 2022.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden?
Postpone.
Thank you, council presidents. All we have on zoning tonight.
Seeing no further business coming for council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden?
Have a good evening.